Big Neighbor Creek Road, but
Yeah,
familiar with your old homestead there?
Cedric, that I would be able to hear just because I might come. We have a lot of question about. And I just want to
Yeah, yeah, we're about to figure it out.
yeah, they just have to address it. I think it's just putting a modular building in and they're just repurposing it.
That'd be interesting.
We got it's like 5 people
It's
Right,
six.
right.
And she won.
Yeah.
I got
What
the,
time is
yeah,
it?
We have,
she got sold.
we have to get started.
Yeah.
It's okay. I now call to order the Planning Commission meeting for February 27th, 2025. Ms. Parker, do we have a quorum?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, as we meet today, please be with us. Guide our thoughts, ideas, and decisions. Bless abundantly all who are present. Come be with us, inspire us, and lead us in our time together. We ask this in your name. Amen. Has anybody have any issues with the minutes from last meeting? Is there a motion to approve or?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
Yes, sir, Mr. McLaughlin,
Aye.
Mr. Cosby,
Aye.
Mr. Patuk,
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski,
Aye.
Mr. Kimmerly.
Aye.
Thank you. Our next item is citizen comment period. Per the Planning Commission bylaws, Section 4, addressing the commission public comments. 4.1, generally, all persons who speak before the commission during the citizen comment period or a public hearing shall do so from the lectern and furnish their names and addresses to the commission. A speaker shall only speak once on any item unless the commission asks the speaker to answer questions. No person may address the commission unless they have first been recognized by the chair. Each person who desires to speak shall be given time to present oral or written comments. Comments shall be directed to the commission, not to the audience. 4.2, citizen comment period. The citizen comment period provides a public forum for the commission to hear from citizens about matters pertinent to the activities, issues, or policies of the commission. The citizen comment period is limited to matters that are not scheduled for public hearing on the meeting's agenda.
And now open citizen comment period. If you wish to speak during the citizen comment period, please come forward, state your name, address. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Linda Moore, 2164 Prophet Road, Mannequin-Sappet, Virginia. I have sent you all my comments in case I don't get them through them as fast as I wanted to, but I will try. On December the 11th of 2023, an organization was formed. It was created for the community to understand what development requirements were. Our primary goal is to ensure that the Planning Commission, the Board of Supervisors, have accurate and necessary information to make informed, thoughtful, transparent, and responsive decisions. We have been working nonstop on this for well over a year now. We've held workshops. We've met with the planning staff. to try to understand development, and the process so that citizens have an understanding of what is going to be put in their neighborhoods. That being said, there's several concerns with the zoning application process. One is currently applications for RPUD or residential plan unit development can choose to use the capital impact model instead of doing a development impact statement. The development impact statement is more than just about cash proffers. It's more than just about CIP. It's the whole Monty that keeps us together. Environmental, other things that are not part of the 4 categories that are covered under the capital impact model. Like I said, I've written it down to you. It's going, my information is getting short on time. The other issue that I have tonight was over this District 2 subdivision ordinance amendment. I am asking you to please defer it until further information can be, on this can be gathered. Nobody knows about it. I barely found out about it a week ago. So that's not any way for people to find out coming down the road that, what happened, why is there an extra entrance on River Road? How did that happen? Please, I'm going to sit down now. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, we'll close the citizen.
Hello.
Are the comments, do you wait to the district presentation later or you make comments up front?
This is citizen comment only on items not on today's agenda. Thank you. Citizen comment closed. Ms. Parker, are there any requests to defer?
There are no requests to defer, additions, deletions, or changes to the order of the public hearings.
Thank you.
Our next item, we have 2 Planning Commission action items. And they will not come before the Board of Supervisors. These items will require a motion and a vote. Our first action item is in District 2, SOE 2024-2, application by Trek Properties seeking an exception to Article 6 minor subdivision to create an additional access road onto River Road West on tax map number 4242020. The property is zoned residential general R3 and agricultural limited A2.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Ben Ellis. I'm a planner with the county. Before you use an application by Trek Properties LLC for subdivision ordinance exception. The property is located along River Road West in District 2. The map on the left shows the general vicinity of the property within the county. The map on the right shows the property itself outlined in red. The property is zoned R3 residential general and A2 agricultural limited. The adjacent properties are also zoned either A2 or R3 with a small B1 property down in the south of the property. Comprehensive plan designates this property as single-family residential. Most of the properties to the west are designated public, county-owned, or institutional. The parcel, also known as Lot 2, is part of a 4-lot minor subdivision. Lot 1 was created in 2023 and uses one of the access points onto River Road. Minor subdivisions are limited to 2 access points onto a specific road. Lots 2, 3, and 4 were created in 2024. Lots 3 and 4 share an access point and use the last permitted access point onto River Road West. Lot 2 currently accesses on Maiden's Loop near the south of the property. The property features significant topographical features. From the north to the south of the property, the elevation falls about 100 feet. Furthermore, there are flood hazard areas along the southern edge of the property, including where the property accesses Maiden's Loop. This request is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. The county's major thoroughfare plan recommends minimizing access points on public roads. As a reminder, this is an action item by the Planning Commission. It is final. It will not be heard by the Board of Supervisors. If the Planning Commission recommends approval of this exception, staff recommends the following conditions be included with the approval. Lastly, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the Commission.
So you're asking for an exemption to put another access to River Road for their use?
Yes, for there to be, from within this subdivision, 3 access points onto River Road West.
And how have they gotten by before without these access roads?
It is a new subdivision. Currently, their legal access is located, or they use Maiden's Loop,
Yep,
and which is right here.
Yes.
This is an access easement that is used by this property as well, but just that's how they access the public road system.
so where was the road that they want to put in?
Yes. They're proposing a driveway right here at the top of the property.
Oh, I see.
So this abuts the correctional facility?
It does, yes. Yes.
Is it 35 miles an hour right there?
I think it is.
I think it is.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
It would be right around where it turns to 45.
we come across that road.
How long is the drive?
The applicant has placed on the conceptual plan the location of the house here. I cannot tell you specifically or give you a good estimation, honestly, about the length of the driveway at the moment.
So fire and rescue have not looked at this as well, or have they?
Yes, this has been reviewed by county staff. It went to our development review meeting as all of our other normal zoning items. I have received no comments from fire. I did ask fire and rescue. Their official comment is no comment.
The front of this property is zoned R3.
Yes.
This driveway does not give them the availability to develop the front any more than just having a single-family home on the property, correct?
Driveway, given the acreage of the property, it does limit it to one single-family dwelling.
Great.
You said that they would share the driveway easement with that current, or the property that's right there in the corner.
No, they currently do.
Or they currently do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Has that, in the past however many years, we've had lots of flooding and things like that, has that actually flooded out or anything, since it looks like it's partly on the floodplain?
Not to my knowledge. I did, in the recent high water, did drive down to Maiden's Loop. It had not crested the tracks at that point, but it was close. It is within, so it is the 100-year flood hazard areas. You can see there are about 3 spots on the property.
You had a last slide that said if it was to be passed, that staff recommends something, or did I make that?
Conditions, yes.
So,
Yeah, can you go through those, please?
right,
Yes. One is a note onto the final plat that just states the actions that the Planning Commission has taken. The second is to prohibit access onto Maiden's Loop and require access onto River Road West, which is the request. And then lastly, it's for any building permit application, each lot must demonstrate access to River Road West in accordance with the site plans, just complying with the site plan as submitted.
So, condition 2, this lot actually does go down and it actually does touch Maiden's Loop.
Yes, sir.
And all of that extension going out there to Maiden's Loop would be used strictly for then an easement for that other property to get to their, to get to the road, correct? So they would not, but this property, whoever builds on this property would not be allowed to use that as an access point.
Lot 2, the subject property, will not be able to access Maiden's Loop. The other property currently using the easement would continue to be able to use the easement to access Maiden Loop.
Just seems like an odd use of that little tongue going out there, like it should belong to the other property. So, anyway. Yeah, I don't have any more questions for this.
So the conditions are part of the application?
Staff recommends that if you do approve these conditions were generated by staff.
Right.
And we do recommend that if you do approve the subdivision exception, that you do also approve the conditions.
Okay.
And there's only one dwelling that's going to be on that property, correct?
Yes.
So nothing's on it now, but
It is an empty wooded lot currently.
Let me ask you one more question. Have you done any sort of visit to the property to where they are proposing to put a driveway and evaluated, at least subjectively, the traffic that's there?
I have not visited the site on foot. I have driven by during rush hour. I do not feel that there would be a significant increase in traffic should there be an additional access drive onto River Road West.
All right, thank you.
And you said about 100-foot drop-off so it would be a steep incline to use?
Yes, it is a hilly, there are multiple hills on the property, multiple gullies on the property, but yes, from about here to about here, the property does fall 100 feet.
so the drive is going to be going up a slope, or is it going to be?
It would it'd be more falling than going up, but there are significant topographical features on the property.
It would be falling going to River Road? Or is that uphill?
Sorry, entering the property, you'd be likely going down.
Correct, okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I move that the commission approve the exception request to allow an additional access drive onto River Road West at tax map number 42-42-0-2-0.
Second.
Ms. Kowalski, is that with the conditions recommended by staff? With the conditions recommended by staff, thank you.
Ms. Parker, roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Kimmerly?
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski?
Aye.
Mr. Patuk?
Aye.
Mr. Cosby?
Aye.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Aye.
The motion to approve passes on a 5-0 vote. Our second action item is in District 4, MAJT 2025-1, Mosaic at West Creek. Application by H.H. Hunt Mosaic LLC requesting approval of a revised tentative subdivision plat for a 500-lot subdivision. The tentative plat is required by Article 8, Section 2 of the County Subdivision Ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Ray Cash, Assistant Director of Community Development. That's about a little development that might have been in our recent history for Mosaic. This is a modification to a previously approved tentative plat on 207.839 acres. As you see here on the screen, the property is zoned RUPD. the area outlined in red. A2 is generally to the southwestern portion. M1 across the street. Mosaic Creek Development is really located in the West Creek Development, borders Broad Branch Drive and Route 288. The property is currently undeveloped. As you can see, there had been some land disturbance before, and part of that was actually doing some, the area you see cleared is actually part of a landscaping restoration because that is part of the future buffer for the area. So for this tentative, the area laid out in yellow, in the yellow circle, is the part that's being modified. We'll talk again in a few minutes about the zoning action that occurred, but that area is really the subject of what's being changed before you today. The area outlined in the box in red, as you probably can't zoom in enough to see on the screen, is actually where there's been updated information regarding lot acreage, number of lots, open space calculations, and those type of things. Those are things that are expected to be updated anytime someone comes forward with a tentative plat amendment. So really down to the nitty-gritty of what we're looking at here is to, again, to provide for 3 lots. The property lines for those lots are as close as I can get with this pointer. The remainder is an open space. There's a 200-foot buffer adjacent to 288, 35 feet, a buffer adjacent to Broad Branch Drive. There are, where the arrows are pointing, areas where the county code would require they do access improvements for future utilities. This includes water as well as a wastewater lines that will extend to the property that, in this drawing, looks to the south, generally the southwest. So again, tentative plat was requested to add to 3 lots and modify the existing development open space. It does have the public utility easements that were requested, and they're shown. The 3-lot configuration was approved through RC 2024-0009. If you recall, that was a proffer amendment as well as an amendment to the original conceptual plan where this was previously open space. It is now being proposed for 3 lots plus open space, and that was passed by the board. The summary of the overall details have been updated sufficiently. The current number of lots now has gradually grown over time for this development. We currently stand at 500 approved within the tentative plat. It is consistent with the approved proffer condition and appears to meet subdivision requirements. As is typical with the tentative plat, and this is the first one before this, this commission, we do typically have standard conditions that we put forward with those, and they really relate to the future development, most often during the record plat and plan development process of the proposed lots. There is one change that's recommended. There was an error in the staff report, condition 12. For that, if you read that sentence, it originally said sidewalks shall be provided along one side of each road end. And I assume my thought or somebody else's was in the development. We request that be amended to cross out the word in and put a period behind road. I can walk through the tentative conditions if you like. We have proposed, the only updates have been to add the most recent zoning case and, as we just saw, to take out a typo. Any questions for staff?
I don't think so.
All right.
Motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the tentative plat MAJT-2025-000001 for Mosaic at West Creek, subject to the conditions presented.
I second that.
Ms. Parker?
Mr. McLaughlin?
Aye.
Mr. Cosby?
Aye.
Mr. Patak?
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski?
Aye.
Mr. Kimmerly?
Aye.
The motion to approve passes on a 5-0 vote. Our first public hearing item tonight is in District 3, CU 2024-24, application by Strickland MFG LLC, requesting to amend conditional use permit CUP KCUP 2021-10 to remove the boat and recreational vehicle storage and to amend the conceptual plan to show an additional building on 4.03 acres at 1090 Merchants Lane on tax map number 455010, subject to amended conditions. The property is zoned Industrial Limited M1. The CUP is required by County Zoning Ordinance, Section 15262, and the comprehensive plan designates this area as industrial.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Good evening. My name is John Michael Whalen. I'm a planner with the County Community Development Department, and I'll be presenting the next public hearing item, which is conditional use permit by Strickland Manufacturing that seeks to amend a conditional use permit. The property is located at 1090 Merchants Lane in District 3 on 4.03 acres. The vicinity map shows the subject property location in the county circled in red, and the aerial photo map shows the subject property outlined in red. The zoning map shows the property zoned as M1 with many of the adjacent properties to the east and south with the same zoning. This is in the Goochland Industrial Park. To the north, there's some A2 zone properties, single-family dwellings, and to the west is the M2 zoned, the bus station. And then for the comprehensive plan, the subject parcel is designated industrial along with many of the other parcels in the area, with the exception being the parcel to the west, which is county, state, and institutional. The applicant sells earth moving and demolition equipment attachments. The 2021 CUP approved included metal products assembly, cutting, and fabrication and outside storage as uses. The applicant originally began operating a few lots down the road at 1070 Merchants Lane. Apologies. They've been in operation for about 10 years, and this expansion would be subject to the same process as the original CUP. I've included the conceptual site layout on this sheet as well, so we would be amending the previous site layout and updating it with this one. With the imposed conditions, this use would be compatible with the comprehensive plan. There was a community meeting held October 29th, 2024. No one from the public attended. Discussion centered around the business history, the operations, some general improvements to the park, and just some other general items. Here are the conditions. So the conceptual plan has been updated to include a new commercial office building, locating the welding shop on site, and updating parking and stormwater configurations from the original conceptual plan that was approved in the previous CUP. The outdoor storage condition has been updated to clarify where outside storage is allowed on the property. And then lastly, the expiration date for the CUP has been updated to March 2030. And here's some more of the conditions. Are there any questions?
Can you show me, it talked about updated storage area?
Sure, for outside
see-
storage?
yes,
Yeah, I know it's kind of hard to tell with the exhibit, it's a little small. Well, actually, the proper language speaks to essentially, it was updated to say that anywhere there are parking spaces or any designated parking areas, you cannot store things there. But, I mean, generally, it will be in this area back here. And it will be fully screened. You can see the screen around there for Triple T Lane. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Would the applicant like to speak?
Mr. Chairman, folks, I'm Sean O'Reilly with Strickland. I didn't speak the last time, but we've done a lot of work with the county over the past 3 years, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you for everything you've helped us with. We think this is a step in the right direction for ourselves and the county in terms of employment and the business that we've brought to the county over the past 10 years. And we're excited to move forward. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I will now open to the public hearing. If you'd like to speak, please come up, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes. Seeing as there's no one, we will end the public comment.
I move that the commission recommend approval of conditional use permit CU 2024-00024, subject to the imposed conditions as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, Mr. Kimmerly?
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski?
Aye.
Mr. Patuk?
Aye.
Mr. Cosby?
Aye.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Aye.
The motion to recommend approval passes on a 5-0 vote. This case is expected to be scheduled for public hearing before the Board of Supervisors on April 15th, 2025, with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. The aforementioned date is subject to change. Our second public hearing item is in District 4, CU 2024-23, application by Rodney Harrison, requesting to renew conditional use permit CUP KCU 1988-1 for retail use on 19.10 acres at 270, 278, 280, and 288 Broad Street Road on tax map numbers 471012-0, 471012A, and 471012B. The properties are zoned agricultural limited A2. The CUP is required by County Zoning Ordinance, Section 15112. The comprehensive plan designates this area as rural enhancement area.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Again, for the record, my name is Ben Ellis, and I'm a planner with the county. Before using an application by Rodney Harrison to renew a conditional use permit for retail use, the property is located at 280 Broad Street Road in District 4. The map on the left shows the general vicinity of the property within the county. The map on the right shows the property outlined in red. The map on the left shows the property that is zoned A2 Agricultural Limited, as are most of the surrounding properties. The comprehensive plan designates this property and the immediate adjacent properties as rural enhancement area. The original CUP for display and sale of utility trailers, utility sheds, and camping or travel trailers was approved in 1988. The CUP was then amended in 1989. It was renewed again for a period of 10 years in 1999, and then renewed again for a period of 15 years in 2009. Furthermore, a plan of development which further regulates the site was approved in 2008 and revised in 2009. The plan of development is located, it's this. With the imposed conditions, this use is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. The applicant held a community meeting on November 4th. No one from the public attended. While the applicant is not proposing any changes, staff has amended the language of the conditions to bring them up to date. Condition 1 limits the use of the property. Staff retained the same description of the merchandise as described in the previous CUP. The second condition limits the CUP activity to areas described on the approved plan of development. Condition 3 relates to access, and for condition 4, staff recommends, again, another 15 years period of use. In continuation with the previously approved CUP, staff has conditioned that the lease on the parcel 471012B ends before the CUP expiration. Sorry, that if the lease on the parcel ends before the CUP expiration, then the merchandise will be removed from such parcel. Lastly, staff has included our standard transferred and lease language. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
I move that the commission recommend approval of conditional use.
Patuk,
I'm sorry.
public hearing.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes. Would the applicant like to speak? Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me.
So I will open the public speaking. Okay, we'll close that. Now, I move that the commission recommend approval of conditional use permit CU 2024-00023, subject to the opposed conditions as presented.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. McLaughlin,
Aye.
Mr. Cosby,
Aye.
Mr. Patak,
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski,
Aye.
Mr. Kimmerly.
Aye.
The motion to recommend approval passes on a 5-0 vote. This case is expected to be scheduled for public hearing before the Board of Supervisors on April 15th, 2025, with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. The aforementioned date is subject to change. Our third public hearing item is in Districts 4 and 5, CU 2024-22, application by Columbia Gas Transmission LLC, requesting to amend conditional use permit CUP KCU 1989-14B to add a new office building on 29.6 acres at 1436 Hermitage Road on tax map number 5810240. The property is zoned agricultural limited A2. The CUP is required by County Zoning Ordinance Section 15112, and the comprehensive plan designates this area as rural enhancement area.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Good evening again, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is John Michael Whalen. I'm a planner with the county. I'll be presenting the next public hearing item, which is a conditional use permit application by Columbia Gas Transmission LLC that seeks to amend an existing conditional use permit. The property is located at 1436 Hermitage Road in Districts 4 and 5 on about 29.6 acres. Vicinity map shows the subject area outlined in red. And the aerial photo map shows the subject property outlined in red. The zoning map shows the most properties adjacent to it and including it are A2, with the exception of the westernmost property being RP. Pretty much all adjacent parcels are rural enhancement with some recreational open space to the south and some different single-family residential uses to the east. So the property has been in operation as a compressor station for about 54 years. The original CUP was issued in 1970 with amendments in 1989, 2017, and 2022. The previous amendment allowed for upgrades and expansion to the facility. In 2022 as well, a temporary laydown yard was utilized in the construction, but will not be included going forward with this application. In addition, an extensive buffer was installed during the 2022 construction, and that will be maintained going forward with this application. Here's Exhibit B. This shows the area with the buffer that was improved and will be maintained going forward. You can see it fronts Hunting Ridge Road. That was part of the community meeting comments as well. And here's Exhibit A. This is the conceptual site layout that they're showing. As you can see, they're just adding a single building. Meets the setbacks very easily.
That's the box in red.
Yes, sir. I can go back to that there. Yep, it says new office building, and if I can point, bang. The comprehensive plan, so with the imposed conditions, this use is compatible with the comprehensive plan. A community meeting was held July 10th, 2024, with 11 members of the public who attended. There's discussion about the need for expansion. Are they basing employees at the station? Problems with false alarms, the desire for additional buffering, and then the higher visibility of the new buildings being constructed. I've summarized the conditions that are changing or being amended or updated. There's many conditions with this property, so these are the three main ones. So they're amending the conceptual plan to show the proposed building location and the removal of the temporary laydown yard. The supplemental planting shall be provided along Hunting Ridge Road in addition to maintaining the existing natural screening. And then use of the new facility is not allowed until a revised plan of development is approved, and then all the improvements related to that plan are installed. That's typical process for us. Further CUP conditions, the use, their limitations. Let me go through these. The expiration for this CUP would be November 2029, and then the standard transfer and lease. Any questions?
In terms of the screening, you mentioned it's on, excuse me, on the frontage road.
Yes, sir.
What about on the, if you can go back to
Yeah,
that
I'll go back to
screen.
the site plan for you. One more.
All right, so it shows a circle, so that means that they're gonna put buffers around every side of the building, correct?
So, yeah, there are conditions for just general landscaping around the operation. But in this specific one, this is going to be updated condition specifically relating to that circled area. And I believe, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, this circled area, this has already been installed, correct? They're just maintaining it as part of this conditions moving forward?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Just for clarification, this was part of the 2021 approval. It was already installed, they're already up and running. We left this in there because there's language about maintaining it, so that way, if it was to need some maintenance or additional buffering, we would be able to enforce it.
I would also enforce that.
So what's existing is just that, but no
Mhm.
more will be added unless.
Unless it's
necessary.
deficient, so if it's not providing screening, they have to provide, I believe it's 2 rows of evergreen trees staggered, which is our typical buffer requirement for maintenance or replacement. I can go to the conditions that speak more clearly to the buffer if you'd like to see them. But there, I have them at the end there, so they wouldn't bog down the presentation. But I think it's number 8, and it speaks to aesthetic of buffers.
Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Norris?
Any other questions?
It's a one-level office
Sure.
building?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
All right, cool.
Would the applicant like to speak?
Not if you have a question, yes, but I don't like to leave you alone.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing. If you'd like to speak, please come forward. Okay, we will close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission recommend approval of the conditional use permit CU 2024-00022, subject to the imposed conditions as presented.
Second.
Mr. Kimmerly?
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski?
Aye.
Mr. Patuk?
Aye.
Mr. Cosby?
Aye.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Aye.
The motion to recommend approval passes on a 5-0 vote. This case is expected to be scheduled for public hearing before the Board of Supervisors on April 15th, 2025, with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. The aforementioned date is subject to change. Our final public hearing item tonight is in District 5, RZ 2025-1, application by Janine and John Corey Hoffer requesting to rezone 2.002 acres from residential general R3 to residential office RO with proffered conditions for professional office use at 12900 Patterson Avenue on tax map number 6310180. The comprehensive plan designates this area as single-family residential medium density.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Good evening, Chairman and Planning Commissioners. My name is John Michael Whalen. I'll be presenting the next public hearing item for a rezoning application by Janine and John Corey Hoffer to rezone the subject property from R3 to RO with proffered conditions for professional office use. The location is at 12,900 Patterson Avenue. It's on 2.002 acres in District 5. City map shows the subject location circled in red, and then on the aerial map, it shows the subject property outlined in red. I just wanted to point out to the east directly of this parcel is Creekmore Office Park. To the north, Creekmore Subdivision, and to the west is the Richmond Country Club. The zoning map shows the subject property as R3, Creekmore Office Park is RO, Creekmore Subdivision is R3, and then the Country Club is zoned A2. Comprehensive plan designates the subject property as a single-family residential medium density, the same as Creekmore Subdivision. To the east, Creekmore Office Park is designated as office, and then to the west, Country Club is designated as recreation open space. And then across the road, single-family low density. For the site history, the property was originally 2 separate parcels with single-family dwellings on them. The parcels have been combined to meet minimum lot requirements for acreages. The proposed use as a professional office meets all the base zoning requirements. The applicants have also obtained a certificate of approval. Since this property is in an overlay district, it's in the Route 6, 650 overlay district. There's other extra requirements for the property. They were able to meet all of those. They were reviewed by staff administratively for architecture, style, material, all the things that the overlay district requires. The one thing they needed to do was they did not meet the overlay requirement for setbacks, for the front setback, because in that overlay district, the setback exceeds that of the underlying zoning. So the underlying zoning for RO is 100 feet. For the overlay district, it's 125 feet. So we were not able to approve that administratively. They had to go to the design review committee. And they did get their approval for that setback reduction in order to move forward with this application. So they've already done all that previous to us coming here tonight, because we didn't want them to move forward without being sure that they would get that.
Good.
Here's the conceptual layout. So they are showing that on the eastern side of the property near the Creekmore Office Park, they're going to be demolishing the single-family residence that is there currently, in addition to a shed. Property on that side, those homes and that shed are in really poor condition. I know as the zoning officer, I've gotten plenty of complaints about the condition of the property and things like that, and I've worked with those property owners in that area. So them demolishing the property and adding that substantial buffer that you can see on the conceptual layout is a big improvement. On the western end, right here, it's kind of hard to see, is the existing dwelling that they're planning to renovate and expand in order to be their professional office. So, okay, sorry. All right, so they have their office. They've shown, they're also planning on landscaping this driveway entrance in order to close that off. There will only be the one entrance to the office, which is that commercial entrance that's shown right here. And then I explained why they needed to do the get the exception or the relief from the design review committee for the setbacks. For the comprehensive plan, this use is compatible with the comprehensive plan. The community meeting was held on December 4th, 2024. 6 members of the public attended. There was discussion of proposed landscaping and vegetation preservation, the future status of the buildings that were on the parcels already, and then what other uses would be allowed. There was just also general requests regarding additional buffering and screening, particularly in the back corner of the property near the subdivision. There's 2 proffers that they brought forward. One is that they would generally conform to the conceptual plan that they've submitted that we looked at. The second being the demolition and the landscaping for the buildings and the timing of those things. So they state here that they would install the perimeter landscaping during site development after they demolish the houses within the setback in accordance with the approved POD. So all those timings make sense based on our processes with how we go through everything. You'd want to demolish the homes, but we'd want to see where that landscaping is on the plan of development. So they would have that plan of development approved first, and then they would go through with everything. Is there any questions?
I think we're good.
Thank you.
I see the applicant would like to speak.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Jennifer Mullen with Roth Jackson here on behalf of Janine and Corey Hoffer, the owners of the property. With me tonight are the Hoffers as well as Brett Hammonds with Bowman Engineering. Appreciate staff's presentation this evening. You covered most of the details on the property itself. Again, just to highlight the location, it is shown here in red. Adjacent to the east is Richmond Country Club, which is the A2 property. And then to the north and to the west was Richmond Country Club. To the north and the east is Creekmore office condominiums, and then the single-family neighborhood behind. This shows just the survey where you can see that it was 2 separate parcels. There were 2 single-family dwellings on it. It just gives you the highlight a little easier of this area here is what will be demolished, and that is within the setback, so it is very close to the property line. The reason we needed the front yard setback was because just the location of the existing dwelling. So the request from the DRC, which approved it, is to approve the house where it sits today. This just shows you an aerial of the current property. And again, the request before you is to rezone the property to RO, residential office, to permit the wealth management firm that my clients own to relocate here from Henrico. They are Goochland County residents and are interested in relocating their office to this location. And again, you have the aerial here, so the existing driveway is shown. My pointing skills are not very good, I apologize. The existing driveway, and there were two entrances, so we'd be closing the one as noted, the existing driveway and parking area, and then the existing house will be renovated. Again, this just shows a blown-up version of the site plan, and so a few pieces to note that came out of the community meeting were the increased landscaping. So again, here is that demolished structure, so it's noted on the site plan that will be demolished. And then we are installing these evergreen trees here, as well as installing trees down here. So if you're thinking about visual impacts from headlights, so you might be able to see it here. And so we're not only closing off that entrance, but also providing a visual barrier. So if you just think about the property as it previously was, this was the parcel line. So basically all of the development is on this side with additional landscaping and some parking. So we've got the parking screened as well. So that was another component that we heard. So again, this is the Creekmore office condominiums, but just across their property line is a single family dwelling. So again, taking into consideration those, so we added that additional landscaping as you see there. Again, with the existing house, it is being renovated, but it still maintains those residential qualities, both in materials and design, as well as there is a significant amount of mature vegetation that already exists on the property that will be maintained. This just shows the view, so this is heading west, so you can see the existing entrance and the house behind. This just gives you a visual of the proposed structure. So it would have an addition put on the rear of it. It would be materials that are all compatible, as was noted by staff, within the overlay district of high quality, double hung windows, compatible both to the office buildings to the west, as well as the residential nature and scale of other residential uses in the neighborhood. The renovations are appropriate and consistent with both the comprehensive plan and the surrounding area, and I think a real opportunity to increase nice, quiet commercial uses within this area in Goochland. With that, I'd respectfully request your recommendation of approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I think you've covered it very well.
Thank you.
We'll now open for public comment. Anybody wanting to come up?
Hello, my name is Cherie Lane. I'm on the Architectural Review Committee for Creekmore Park. I think this is beautiful. I think all that looks great. The only concern that we have is the landscaping, the size of the landscaping, because what we just went through with all the office buildings there, we were promised bigger trees, so on and so forth. We have a lot of neighbors that can see like all those office buildings, lights at night, so on and so forth. So that's our biggest concern from the Architectural Review Committee, which we try to look out for all the neighbors, is making sure that the landscaping, this drawing's so small, I can't tell what the actual size is, but to ensure that those neighbors, because there are 3 homes right there that are going to be visually impacted, even though it's a beautiful drawing. But that's my.
Ma'am, can you state your address, please?
409 Regina Lane.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Larry Lane. I'm the resident, 409 Regina Lane also. I'm the president of the Creekmore Park HOA. We have 36 homes in that neighborhood. We are very pleased with the site plan in terms of the housing and the structure. It's going to fit, looks like it's going to fit in well. We're also pleased with the buffering. Now, whether we're going to be satisfied or not, it's really going to come down to the two things. The first is the size of the plants that go in to make sure they do their intended function. And then the second thing is to make sure that the lighting on the property is restricted as well, if not better than what the office buildings to the east are, because that would affect all 36 homes to have a sky shine. And I know the county has regulations and whatnot, but I've just asked that the landscaping be robust and the lighting plan be very detailed and robust so that we don't have lights late at night. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mullen, do you want to add something?
Sure. Again, Jennifer Mullen with Roth Jackson on behalf of the applicants. I'll appreciate those comments, and we obviously worked on the revised layout to address the landscaping components. I know that it's small, I can barely see it on a larger piece. At planting, we have the evergreens going in at 4 feet. Those do grow rapidly every year, and so those are the trees that are in the new buffer area. Obviously, maybe we can go back to could you go back to the site layout? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Do I just go backwards?
Just go backwards, yeah. Yeah, my presentation should be the last one. Just go back a couple slides.
There we go. Oop, forward. So as you can see, these are the new trees, but all of the existing trees will be maintained. So you have a significant treed area there. On the lighting side, it is all residential scale, so they are lantern-style lights on the outside. Any lighting in the parking lot that's required would be reduced to a security level or turned off, depending on how the code allows us to do it in the evening. So this is a very, again, quiet office use for this property.
Thank you.
How many offices are going to be going in there?
They have currently 7 employees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the time frame? I apologize. What's the time frame of operation? Is it like 8:30 to 4:30, 9 to 5?
Yes, 8 to 5 generally. Monday through Friday, unless it's really nice out.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir, please.
Good evening, Matt Brewer, 4825 Twin Lakes Drive, Goochland, Virginia. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Mrs. Parker, Mrs. Spalding, I would just like to speak in support of the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Brewer. Anybody else? Okay, I will close the hearing and do you have a motion?
I move that the commission recommend approval of rezoning RZ 2025-00001 with proffered conditions as presented.
Second.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Aye.
Mr. Cosby?
Aye.
Mr. Patuk?
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski?
Aye.
Mr. Kemmerly?
Aye.
The motion to recommend approval passes on a 5-0 vote. This case is expected to be scheduled for public hearing before the Board of Supervisors on April 15th, 2025, with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. The aforementioned date is subject to change.
Is there any old business or other business?
There's no old business, but Ms. Sherry is going to provide a director update.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. For the record, I'm Jamie Sherry, Director of Community Development. Thank you for this opportunity to tell you, as well as those who are watching virtually, some public participation opportunities. Do you have the slide? Oh, I have it. Pardon me. Where is it? Oh, party foul. Thank you, Ms. Parker. See, the meeting had been going so well until right about now. Okay, so for next month, for the Planning Commission, we do have one public hearing scheduled. This is Markel Eagle Advisors, LLC, known as Highfield. This is a rezoning request on Rockville Road for a 138 lot subdivision. Coming up at the Board of Supervisors, there is a application for a conditional use permit by Vogel and Marta Venson. This is for revise existing conditions for a single-family detached accessory family housing unit, as well as to add home-based business. It should be noted that the applicant has requested a 30-day deferral. I also wanted to bring to your attention some community meeting information. In District 4, we had a community meeting scheduled for the 623 landfill, and that was scheduled for this evening because of the way our bylaws are and supported by the state code. We asked the applicant to reschedule that meeting. They have obliged. We do not have a new date for that, but as soon as we have a date, we will put that out on our calendar, as well as send out social media updates on that. For the Park and Rec Master Plan, last month I mentioned that there was a process going on and there was a community meeting held. Some of the feedback that was heard at that meeting was a request to have a meeting located in the eastern portion of the county, and so that is what they're doing. There is going to be a community meeting held on March 18th at 6 p.m. at Salem Baptist Church. On the screen, I did want to note that there is a new website that has rolled out. It's on our community, on our county webpage, but there's a specific one that is all Park and Rec's master plan. It's on the screen if you want to go and visit. That's a great opportunity to learn about what's going on in the process. And lastly, I just wanted to bring to your attention that there are 3 town hall meetings scheduled. The first one is on the 24th of March, and this is in District 1. The meeting time for all 3 of them is 6 p.m., and this one will be held at Byrd Elementary School. In Districts 4 and 5, it'll be a joint town hall. The meeting date is March 27th, also at 6 p.m., and that will be held at the Residence Inn. And then lastly, on the 31st of March, we will be having Districts 2 and 3, 6 p.m., and that will be held here in the boardroom at the County Administration Building. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Sherry.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.
Cool. Cool. All right, man. Thanks, man. You too.